Jnana-timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we're continuing with our reading and discussion of Daśa-Mūla Tattva by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And we finished verse 10. Did we complete verse 10 or we're beginning verse 10?
No, I think we did verse 10. Yeah.
Okay. So the last verse, verse 10, is describing the sadhana, right? What is the way? And this is, of course, the practices of pure devotion, and particularly the 9 Nava-Vida Bhakti, 9 practices of devotion that are mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj and Srimad Bhagavatam. They're being mentioned here. And so that brings us up to, I think, the 9th principle amongst the 10. Is that right? Okay, we have revealed truth here. Refer to that as well. It's a very helpful reference. So yes, 9. This sadhanam shuddha bhaktim, pure devotion is the way. And so now we're coming to the 10th principle, which is, well, let's go up. We can, I need to do a screen share. I forgot. I didn't realize I wasn't doing that. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, so do a screen share. And you have the text there, yeah. Okay, so now screen sharing. And I'll go up here. So this first summary verse, this Sadhyam Yat Pritim Evetupadi Shakti Harir Gora Chandro Bhajetam. So this is the 9th principle, which is going to be discussed in this 11th verse, which translates as, love for Hari is the goal. And then also in the end is this phrase, this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Gaurachandra, is personally teaching the souls of this world. Okay. And this also ties in with, we were having some discussion yesterday on these principles of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So that's also, all very relevant here, and we gave Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana by now. I think everybody, or hopefully everyone, is familiar with. But one helpful analogy we mentioned yesterday is that, we can think of Sambandha as like having the map, right? Sambandha Gyan means understanding what is what, how does everything relate to one another, what is the proper relationship and connection between everything in existence. So it's kind of like having a map, having a picture of the map and understanding where you are now through GPS. That's like Sambandha Gyan. And then Prayojana, also the word sadhya is used. That's the word used here in this Daśa-Mūla. Sadhya or prayojana, that means the goal, right? So that's like understanding where your final destination is, right? That is sadhya. Yeah, so sadhyam here, this last point. And then sadhana is also pretty much, synonym for abhideya, right? So the way. So you know where you are and what the big picture is, the map, where you want to go. And then sadhana or abhideya tattva is the path to get there. Right? So then how does that translate into our practice and ideology? The sadhana is or abhideya practices of pure devotion. So this is what was discussed in the previous verse in Daśa-Mūla. And then the sadhya or prayojana, the goal, is prema, divine love. So this is the verse which we've come to now, this verse 11. Okay, so Suvasini, do you want to chant that verse for us?
Yes, yeah. Swarupavasthane madurarasa bhavodaya iha Vraje Radha Krishna Swajana Jana Bhavam Hridi Vahan Paranande Pritim Jagat Atula Sampat Sukham Aho Vilasakye Tattve Parama Paricharyam Sa Labhate. Analysis. Iha, while still living in this world, Swarupava Sthane, when established in one's intrinsic form, Madhura Rasa Bhavodaye, when bhava, the dawning of love in Madhura Rasa, is aroused, sa, that jiva practicing pure devotional service, Raje Radha Krishna Swajana Jana Bhavam, the deep aspiration to render divine service in the wake of the personal associates of Sri Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Vahan, having become infused, Hridi, within his heart, Pritim, love, Paranande, for the supreme transcendental ecstatic truth, Jagat Atula Sampat Sukham Maho, the great treasure of joy unparalleled in the entire world. Parama Paricharyam, the acme of personal divine service. Vilasakye Tattve, unto the truth known as playful. Labhate, does attain. So translation. When the soul's practice in devotion, sadhana bhakti, becomes fully mature and he is established in his intrinsic form, the dawning of love and divine concerthood appears in his heart by virtue of the ecstatic potency, a deep aspiration to follow in the wake of the personal associate servitors of Sri Radha Krishna in Vraja awakens in the innermost regions of his heart. Gradually, his heart is captured by the divine ecstasy personified, and he attains the supreme joy, unparalleled in the entire world, the zenith of personal service unto the one known as the playful, sweet absolute. There is no greater attainment for the jiva.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Suvasni, do you have any comments?
Well, don't know what we can say that is not so beautiful. What is it? What do you think?
Say anything else after that?
What else we can say?
Wow, amazing, huh? Amazing.
Again.
Yeah, I'm actually going to read it again because it's just so perfect.
Yeah.
Like everything's there. When the soul's practice in devotion, sadhana bhakti, becomes fully mature and he is established in his intrinsic form, that is swarup. We were mentioning this word the other day, the dawning of love and divine consorthood. So we can also mention here, you know, this is something which is not very relevant to us at present, but this is where our gurus want to take us, you know, and in that sense, there's some relevance, you know, like Gurudev mentioned once, you know, yes, we don't talk about these things every day, but we can't live in a cave all of our lives. We want to become a little enlightened as to what is the end of our lineage, where our gurus want to take us, you know, what are our gurus cultivating, right? So Madhura Rasa, right? This conjugal relationship, lover relationship with the Lord. This is the final, this is the highest, this is the ultimate, right? So in a very careful way, we are hearing sometimes about these things and refining our understanding, appreciation of what is that ideal. And through that and our service connection, then some real heart attraction and service necessity that may begin to gradually awaken within our heart. That is what is being described here. So the dawning of love and divine consorthood appears in his heart by virtue of the ecstatic potency. So ecstatic potency, this is referring to Hladini Shakti. This is the translation. Hladini Shakti is the Sanskrit, and Hladini Shakti is referring to Radharani, actually. We hear that the spiritual, the Chit Shakti, the spiritual, right? There's three principal energies of the Lord, right? Chit, the spiritual, Jada, mundane, and Tatashta, which is us, the Jiva Shakti, marginal potency. And then within that Chit potency, the spiritual potency, there are three subdivisions, right? The Sandini, Samvid, and Hladini, right? And Sandini is referring to the willing potency, represented by Baladev, and Samvid is represented by Krishna consciousness, like Sat Chit Ananda. These are the three principles within divinity. And then Krishna, then Samvid, represented by Krishna consciousness, the thinking. And then Hladini or Ananda, that is the feeling potency, the heart, the loving. That is Radharani. That is represented by Radharani. So that's her domain, right? And so Prema, divine love, like that's her domain, that's her jurisdiction. And it is by her grace that something of that will enter our hearts. She's the proprietor of all of that. And it is by her grace that something of that will come to enter the hearts of the jivas of this world. In the proper channel, as our Gurudev would say. So, yeah, what is actually the word being used here in the Sanskrit for the ecstatic potencies? I thought it would be Hladini Shakti, but it's not.
It's a Madhura Rasa Bhava. Madhura, it says Madhura Rasa.
Okay, Udai will arise, the mood of love of Madhura Rasa that will begin to arise within the heart. So it doesn't, the translation's a little yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing another translation. But I mean, it's true what is said in the translation, of course, that is the fact, right? It is by her grace that will come. But the verse itself is not exactly saying that.
It's Paranande, it's like Anandam. It's also Paranande. It's like
Supreme Ananda.
Supreme, yeah, supreme, ecstatic. So Ananda is like the joy, right?
Okay. This is very nice. This phrase here, Vila Sake Tattve, unto the truth known as playful. Because that akya you see sometimes, like what is like known as, right? Vilas, play, right? So the truth known as play. That is Krishna. That is that represents the highest truth. And we, one of our new friends, Chintamani's friend, one of the things he was saying that he often doesn't like about religious minded persons is they're not playful. They're too serious. How they can be too rigid about their practices and so on. And it's actually a bit of a tricky subject matter because we understand play to be the highest principle, actually. Playfulness is actually the highest expression of consciousness. Beauty, charm, play is the highest expression of truth. Right? But the problem is that because we're in such a mixed up state at present, then it's not necessarily healthy for us to be, too playful. Some elements of play is healthy, but because we're already so confused, right? It's kind of like first learn the rules and then you can break the rules. Like that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a tricky point, but we celebrate that and worship that as the highest principle, the principle of divine play. Nonsense, we could say. Nonsense, divine nonsense. Like Oscar Wilde's, all art is quite useless. So we're into useless nonsense. Like it's just high, it's beyond anything useful. It's way beyond that. And it's beyond anything that makes sense. It's beyond, it's just so much more than that. That we're not doing it because you're supposed to, or it makes sense, but because it's fun, because it's happy, because it's loving. That's more, that's a higher principle. Like mercy is higher than justice. Beauty is higher than power. It's another type of truth. Sundaram. Sundaram, beauty, is a higher truth than Satyam, truth. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Right? This is another way these three principles are described. Truth, Satyam, Shivam, auspiciousness, goodness, and then Sundaram, beauty, right? Which also, parallels with the Ananda, play, beauty, joy, all of these things. But the highest type of Satyam is enriched with Sundaram. The highest type of truth is enriched with beauty, play, right? It's like, just like a very simple example, you won't tell a little child that their nonsensical scribble looks stupid, right? You'll tell them how beautiful it is. That's a higher principle of truth, right? That's more meaningful. So what is nonsense makes more sense from a higher calculation, right? So it is like that. Srila Maharaj, he told how, there's this phrase, this injunction in the scripture somewhere that, what is it? Satyam bruyam, priyam bruyam, satyam apriyam na bruyam. Something like that. It's saying, always speak the truth. Always speak the pleasing truth. Never speak an unpleasing truth. You heard that. Never speak an unpleasing truth. And Srila Maharaj was very surprised to hear that. And it kind of like didn't sit well with him. Because Srila Maharaj, like he's born under the sign of Lord Ramachandra. Like Dharma is very prevalent in his nature. And like he actually took a vow in his youth that he would never tell a lie. And he adhered to that his whole life. Even if it, put him into trouble sometimes, that he wouldn't tell a lie. And so when he read that, he thought, okay, Satyam Bruyam, always speak truth. Yes, I can understand that. Priyam Bruyam, always speak what is pleasing. Okay, that's fine. But then Satyam Apriyam na Bruya, don't speak that which is not pleasing. I cannot understand. But and then he just kind of like put it on the shelf. And then it was like some years later that I don't remember how it came about, but the realization came to him that at this point, right, that Sundaram is the highest truth. Beauty is the highest truth. That's a higher type of truth than just raw truth. Otherwise, just raw truth, that brings you to the Brahma Jyoti conception. But what is Krishna Leela is built on a lie, you could say, right? The foundation is nonsensical, right? That they don't know he's God. That would just spoil the story. Right? That would spoil the love. So he's posing. It's all the posturing, right? And that's sweeter than the raw truth, right? Because sweetness, joy, love, beauty, mercy, they're higher principles. So these are, these are like finer points of theism, right? Which not anyone, as Sri Maharaj said, a rubbish brain cannot understand. It's the word that you, rubbish brain. British English, yeah. You would say something else. So this phrase is very nice. Vilasake tattve. The truth known as vilas, play, known as playful. Labate, or will attain. So, yes. And I'm always so captured by this word aspiration, right? Because that's what Krishna consciousness is. It's an aspiration. At every level, it's an aspiration. And it's always coming by the grace of those who have it. It's being extended by them. And that was, the similar expression in that previous verse, right? That the attraction to a life of devotion, that it's an aspiration that comes from the association of the realized souls who have that aspiration in their heart. Rajay Radha Krishna Sajana Jan. Okay. Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, like
Here.
Wendy asked me if I could help in the kitchen, and then I said yes. And let me go check in with Vishaka, Didi, and it was so nectar. I'm just sitting here listening, not going to the kitchen. Yeah, useless, being useless.
You can just tell later, I'm sorry, I was planning to come.
Yeah.
Daśa-Mūla got me.
Yeah.
She'll understand.
So we lost play.
Vilas means play. That is correct. Yeah.
And Sundaram is beauty.
Beauty, yeah. Sundar, like Gurudev's
Sundar.
name.
Right.
Sundarangam. You know what that means? You
Sundarangam.
recognize that phrase? Sundarangam?
It's in his
Pranamansha. Very good. Yeah. What does it mean? His beautiful form. Because these Gurudevs so beautiful. And the Sri Maharaj appreciated that Gurudev. How beautiful.
Sundaram.
Sundarang. Anga means like body or limbs, form.
Ah.
That is Gurudev. Khub Sundar. Khub Sundar. Yeah. Very
Get trouble. Here comes Wendy.
Anyone else want to add anything? We're having a smaller Zoom group because most of our Zoom group is here in person. Marie's here, Chintamani, Dula, Ananda, they're all here. Okay. Subhasini, did you any other thing you want to point out here?
I miss you.
Nice to see you there. To see you.
Nice to see you here too. Virtual.
Okay, so do we go on to the next verse then? Okay, so verse 12 here. Prabhu, so this I think is the last verse in this. Oh no, there's a 13th also. Okay. Prabhu ka ko jiva katam idam achid vishram itiva vicharyaitan artan haribhajana kuchashta chataraha abedam sham dharman sakalam aparadam pariharan adir namanandam vibhati haridasu harijanaya. And then this is the breakdown here. Prabhu ka, who is the Lord? Jiva ka, who is the Jiva? Patamba, and what is Idam achid vishvam, this material world. So does this ring any bells? All these questions are related to what?
Sambandha.
Very good. Sambandha Gyan, very good. Related to Sambandha. Vicharya, considering Aitan Artam, all these matters, Hari Bhajana Krit, the ever earnest to serve Sri Hari, Shastra Chattara, scripturally adept, Hari Dasa, servitor of Sri Hari, established in his intrinsic form, Pariharan, giving up, Abedam Sham, desire for oneness with the absolute, Dharmam, all religiosity and irreligiosity, duty and non-duty, Sakalam Aparadam, and all kinds of offenses, Pibati, drinks, Hari Janai, in the company of the pure devotees, Nama Nandam, the joy of Sri Harinam, the holy name of the Lord. Wow, beautiful. And we can also mention, or here's a question, all of these kinds of questions, like who is the Lord, who am I, what's what is this world? This is just this type of awakenment, this type of query is a symptom, is an outcome of what? Any, apart from Suvasini Didi, it's a question for our group here. They're all symptoms of what, can you say? Okay, Suvasini, do you want to share?
Lolium.
But how does that lolium come? Yes, we got it. Say the word properly.
Sukriti.
Sukriti. We say Sukriti.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the grammatical thing. Yeah, Sukriti. Right, okay, so Dula Prabhu, he's answered. Yeah.
Sukriti.
Sukriti, yeah. Yeah, which literally means like good works, right? The outcome of good works. Means great, like Su is like very good. Krit is referring to activity, doing. So, and what, the way we use it is to refer to, we have Sue Devi in Australia coming in. We use it in reference to, having offered some seva to the upper world, through some Vaishnava in this world. So that is real Sukriti, good activity. And then through that, that the reciprocation is grace, right? So in reciprocation for that service, offered knowingly or even unknowingly, right? So then we use these terms, gyata sukriti, like conscious sukriti, something that's being consciously done, or agyata, unknowingly, even like a bird circumambulating the temple, not knowing what it is, a dog eating some prasadam, they're receiving some sukriti as a result of that. And when that develops to a certain degree, then this awakenment of consciousness takes place, and some shraddha, some faith starts to develop. So anyone who's asking these questions, it means because they've received, they have some grace. And yesterday, one of our devotees here was actually asking me, about, so many strange circumstances our world is going through now, and how to preach in certain environments, right? And I told her, so sometimes you may attribute certain, the success of some preaching in certain social circumstances, right? We may attribute that success to some particular environmental factor. Oh, those persons, like they were just suffering and, they wanted spiritual life or whatever, right? Or they realized how empty material success is, or these people are more likely, and right? You could come up with some like graph, and do some demographics, sociological study of persons most likely to come to Krishna consciousness, right? And we can come up with all kinds of theories, but actually it's much more simple than that. And I told her that you don't need to complicate it with all those considerations. Don't need to overly, you don't need to go into all that, but just remember it comes down to their Sukriti, and that may flow anywhere and everywhere. Could be the bum on the street, could be the eco warrior, could be a corrupt politician, could be someone who works in a slaughterhouse. Like, we don't have any prejudice like that, and that's not how it works. It's Sukriti can flow anywhere. The Lord doesn't have any prejudice, about so-called good or bad. Right? There is no such thing as good or bad. It's all a dream. The foundation is all wrong. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's this famous verse, Dvaite Bhadra Bhadra Gyan Sab Manodharma E Balo E Manda E Sab Brahma. That in this world, to distinguish between right, good or bad is wrong, because it's all a mistake. It's a mistake to distinguish between good and bad, because it's all wrong. The foundation, you have a good dream, you have a bad dream, it's a dream. Right? Okay, I'd rather have a good dream than a bad dream, but there's no substantial reality there. So in the same way, the flow of the Lord's grace is not considering any of these things. How sattvic you are, or how non-sattvic you are. This is beyond all of that. And it's all flowing. It's based on heart, actually. That's really, if you really get down to it. Did you serve a Vaishnava who's beloved to the Lord? That's what Sukriti is. The Lord loves his devotees. You did some service his devotees. It's very personal. Like, the more you actually understand the foundation of Krishna consciousness, you realize it's all about person and personality and personal relationships. That's what it's all about, beginning, middle, and end. It's not what you know or what you can do, but could you touch a Vaishnava's heart? That's what it really comes down to. We don't necessarily always say that or emphasize that, because it can start to sound like some very sentimental thing. It's not sentimental. Like, oh, we're one big happy family. No, it's not like that. But in a serious, in a real way, could you touch a Vaishnava's heart in some way? Could you find a place in the heart of a Vaishnava? Then the Lord is pleased with you and he gives his grace. That's how it works. Like, really, that's how it works. And then from that awakenment of consciousness, Krishna snaps his finger, Maya Devi removes her veil, and more specifically, Nityananda Prabhu, he gives his order. Maya Devi removes the veil. That's how the system actually works. So this is why Vaishnava Seva is so important, because the Vaishnava is dear to the Lord, loves the Vaishnava loves the Lord. It's all about relationship. So all of this, like this type of knowledge, this awareness, this understanding, it's the outcome of grace, that comes because of touching the heart of the saint. That's what it comes down to. So let's we can go on. I don't know if we've read all of the analysis, but we'll go on to the translation. Who is Krishna and who am I, the soul? And what are the unconscious? And what are the unconscious and conscious worlds? Who is Krishna and who am I, the soul? And what are the unconscious and conscious worlds? Deliberating on these matters, the person who is ever earnest in their service to the Lord Hari, and who is adept in the purports of scriptures, abandons the desire for oneness with the absolute, all do's and don'ts of the world, and all kinds of offenses. And in his innate nature of servitor of Hari, so Hari Das, right? This is the intrinsic nature of all, to be a Hari Das, servant of Hari. He ever drinks the nectar of the holy name in the company of the holy. So, okay, here's another test question. Not for Suvasini. What famous verse is describing this innate nature of the soul of Haridas? Anyone in our group? Famous in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Welcome, Sudev. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hey, you were asking me the other day about Sanatan Shiksha. It's in there. Very beginning. This is a verse everybody should, you don't need to have read it to know this. Everybody should know this verse. Let's see. Very fundamental verse. Okay, Suvasan. Sudevi, what about you? Like, if like seriously, if I came up with like even just like a top 5 like verses you should know, this is being there. It's just a basic verse. Any devotee of Krishna should know this.
Can you give us the first word?
Jivera. Okay. Okay, Suvasini Didi, please tell us, just to prove that I'm not just on a trip here, like others also know this, right?
Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Didi. I'm going to write it in our chat. Everyone, please, even if you just, this is not so difficult to learn. This is the Jivera. You don't even have to learn the full verse, just the first line of the verse. Jivera, we're going to break it down. Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera, Nityadas. Okay, so it's in our chat here. Jivera, Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera, Nityadas. So Jiva is referring to the Jiva soul, right? Jivera, like of. So Swarup means the intrinsic, Swarup, Rupa means form. It's also used sometimes to mean beauty. But Rupa means form, Swa, one's own. So one's own form, one's intrinsic, eternal, spiritual form. Hoi is, what is it? Krishnera Nitya Das, to be a servant, eternal, Nitya is eternal, of Krishna. Krishnera Nitya Das. Jiver Swarupa Hoi. Krishna Nitya Das. Who are you? Jiver Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. That's what we, this is like our big flag. We're the Krishna consciousness movement. This is our slogan, you could say. This is our slogan. We're all servants of Krishna. This is what Swami Maharaj Prabhupada traveled the length and the breadth of the world, telling everyone. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and you're all his loving servants. This is the news. This is the real headline. This is what's actually relevant, right? This is what's actually relevant. You are all eternal servants of Krishna. Did you know? Like, nowadays with all the advancement of technology, people get really excited about looking into their genetic code. What's it called?
Genealogy.
Genealogy, but what's the name when you do like the test that tells
DNA test.
DNA, yeah. They want to see like what percentage of Mexican are you? What percentage of Spanish? What percentage of Native American? And so on, right? This much Scottish ancestry and all this, right? People get all into it. They spend hundreds of dollars on these tests. But like, here's the real DNA test. Here's the real result for everyone. I'll tell you for free. You don't have to pay anything. I'll tell you for free. This is why it's not selling so well, because it's free. People aren't taking it. We had to charge it $1,000. We'll tell you.
Pack it up all pretty.
Put it in every single envelope. You are an eternal servant of Krishna. The end. Like, sorry, is that an anticlimax for you? 100%. Then zero margin of error. You are an eternal soul. So Jivera Sarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Haribol.
Sudevi.
Sudevi. Dandavad.
Haribo. Miss you. Miss you, Didi.
India Sangha. Okay. So we will continue now that we've all understood that.
Nailed it in.
I'm understanding it myself. It's one thing to like understand I'm here,
Right.
but then to actually realize that, to breathe that, to live that in every moment. That is not a small matter. That is a march of many lifetimes. I was actually thinking the other day, like why did Gurudev like give me this cloth, and, like give me this role and this post? And like I have like no quality. And I felt like it's just because he knows I'm going to stick to the post. That's all. It's not that I'm actually qualified or I actually like realize any of this stuff, but I'm like a placeholder, you know. I'm just holding the sign. Like holding the sign up. I can do that. I can hold the sign and say Haribol. And I promise I won't leave. I can do that much.
Arms won't get tired.
It's like that's my qualification. Like, not that I actually understand or realize any of this stuff, you know. And I thought, if I can like remember that and don't get confused on that point, I'm gonna be okay. You know, if I start to get confused and think I actually have realized these things or I'm actually worthy, then things get dangerous, scary, and weird, right? But like, so that, I mean, that's pretty good actually, just to be able to do that, like in the sense like, oh, you passed kindergarten, well done. You know, you passed preschool, actually, to be more precise. I've graduated preschool, right? But then what it actually means to realize all these things, you know, actually living and breathing these things, that is Sudurlabha, right? It's extremely rare to find a Vaishnava like that. Extremely rare thing. Right? Out of, what is that? You know, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, no, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Out of so many millions, even out of so many millions of liberated souls, Muktanam, Api Siddhanam, right? These verses are there. Out of many millions of muktas and siddhas and liberated souls, perfected souls, to find Ek Krishna Bhakta, one real devotee of Krishna, that is a rare thing. At least we can try and do this much. Try to understand the theory, right? And follow the practice. At least let's try and do that much. We're not even close to the real standard. Not even close. But we're trying to understand what the standard is, and we're trying to, you know, follow the lessons that are appropriate for us in the kindergarten. And that's okay. You know, that's pretty good relative to where we've come from, where we are. So it's a tricky balancing act, actually, to keep some awareness of where we are right now, and where it is that we're going, what the real standard is, and not become overly confident, not to become overly discouraged either. Both very important. Both very important. It's kind of like you have to pat the babies on the head, like, you're doing a good job. But don't forget, there's a long way to go too. So it's a tricky balancing act. And if we can have the connection of one of those rare Vaishnavas in some way or another, then we're very, very fortunate. We're very fortunate. So now we've come to the very last verse of this Daśa-Mūla Tattva. So Vasini, did you want to chant that for us?
Yeah, sure. Samsevya Daśa-Mūlam Hitva Vidyamayam Janaha Bhava Pushtim Tata Tushtim Labate Sadhu Sangataha. Analysis. Some savior following Daśa-Mūlam, these 10 basic principles, why indeed Jana, the Jiva, Hitva, destroying avidyamayam, the disease of ignorance, labate, attains, bhava pushtim, nourishment of devotional heart, tata pushtim, and satisfaction, sadhu sangataha, from the association of genuine devotees. Translation. Embracing these 10 root principles, the soul deals the death blow to the malady of nescience. His devotional heart is nourished and satisfied in the holy association of the devotees.
This is interesting, actually, isn't it? Like, what's the final word in this whole composition? Sadhu Sangha. It's like, oh, you're so lucky you're going to get Sadhu Sangha. Like, that's the goal. That's the cure. That's the method. That's the practice. And it's the goal also. It's interesting. Like, he doesn't end like on this really lofty thing or in the association of the divine couple rendering Madhura Rasa, Seva, and Vrindavan. Like, it could end like that, but he ends with, you'll get Sadhu Sangha. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, everything comes from there, isn't it? Everything starts and comes only from there, right? Sadhu Sangha.
Mm-hmm. It comes from that, and it's also the goal also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And in there's that verse, right? Krishna Bhakti Janmamo Hoy Sadhu Sangha. And maybe it's in Charitamrita, I don't remember, but it's a well-known phrase, right? The root of the birth of bhakti is sadhu sangha. And then the second line, which I can't remember, but the second line is saying, and for one in whom bhakti has already arisen, sadhu sangha is the sustaining force. You know that verse, Didi. Maybe you know the full verse. I don't remember.
I don't remember. No, I don't.
But that's what it's saying, you know, it's the root, it's the cause of the awakenment of devotion, but it's also the sustaining factor in devotion.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting.
Yeah, it says nourished and satisfied in the holy association of devotees. Yeah.
And this is another interesting point, right? Like, you know, we have this breakdown, right, of, you know, what is the sadhana, the practice, and what is the sadhya, the goal, right? You know, or abhideya, prayojan. But in the final stage, those two merge, they become one. Because in that final stage, you'll be doing all the same things, but the only difference is that awakenment of consciousness, that awakenment of divine love. So that's another thing. Like, so this sadhu sangha, you could say it's the way, and it's also the destination. It's just everything will become sweeter. Everything will become more substantial.
air would be sweet. The trees would be sweet. How does it go? You remember?
Toyam
yeah.
amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam
Mm.
Pivam Shipiyasaki. The water like nectar, talking like singing, walking like dancing. Yeah. Very beautiful. This I have to say, sometimes these translations are a little frustrating. This word hitva, doesn't it actually mean like giving up?
Yeah.
Thank you. That turns into the death blow. I mean,
Listen,
Samaraj, I love you, but honestly, like some of your translations, man. Like, I don't even know that much Sanskrit, but I know that because it comes up fairly often. Hitva means like giving up. Suvasana is confirmed. But this here is destroying or dealing the death blow. And then it says malady. It doesn't say a malady means illness, right? That's not the word avidya. Avidya just means ignorance.
Ignorance, yeah.
Yeah, Maya, like full of ignorance. So this is very interesting translation. So embracing these 10 principles, the soul gives up ignorance, is what it's saying, and attains bhava pushtam, the nourishment of devotion, tata pushtam, and satisfaction in sadhu sangha. Wow, what a wonderful journey we've been on.
Yeah.
Short but sweet, going through all these verses. So let's have a final review then. We can go through do you want to read Ananta, the first introductory verse? I'll pull it up on the screen here. Yeah, you can read this in the translation. And I've got it up here. So this is the first verse summarizing the 10 principles. You read. I want you to practice.
I have to use the restroom.
Oh, okay. Okay, so do also use some good verses for us.
Dasa Mula Tattva, the 10 fundamental principles. Amanya Amnaya Graha Tattvam Harim Iha Paramam Sarva Shaktim Rasapim Tad Binam Shams Shah Jivan Prakrit Kavalitan Tad Vinut Shams Shah Bhavat Veda Veda Rakasham Sakalam Api Hare Sadhanam Shuddha Bhaktim Sadhyam Tat Vritim Evetya Padisha Ati Janan Guru Chandra Svayam Shah. Shri.
This is a little different, huh? It's a little different, actually. Oh, that's interesting. I'm wondering what that is. The version that we have in Revealed Truth is slightly different. Not sure what that word. Just different editions, maybe Bhakti Vinod published. Okay, do you want to read the translation?
Okay. Sri Gaurachandra personally teaches the souls that 1. Revealed knowledge establishes the truth. 2. Hari is supreme. 3. He is omnipotent. 4. He is an ocean of rasa. 5. The souls are his separated parts. 6. They are either covered by material energy. 7. Or liberated from material energy by devotion. 8. Everything is a manifestation distinct and non-distinct from Hari. 9. Pure devotion is the way. And 10. Love for Hari is the goal.
Right. Okay. So Vasini Didi, any final thoughts on this Daśa-Mūla meditation?
Well, everything is, all these points are, very important for us to remember all these everything is condensed. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has graciously given us this, all the knowledge, in this points, 10 points, very fundamental for us. And so that's all I can say. And we just, bow down to this Lotus feet. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has given so much, in his commentaries and, in all his songs and so many, even the last time what we read is, is a commentary, right? The Brahma Samhita, right? The commentary is, it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? So much he has given us. So we just, have to, something so high, but we just have to worship that, and then by their grace, some inspiration to follow and keep the sadhu sangha all the time too, and that is so important. That's all I can say. Yeah.
It's beautiful, Didi, and I just would like to add on to that. I really appreciate how you're bringing in this personal element. I feel that ties in earlier with what we were saying, like it's one thing, right, just to study a text, but then to have that appreciation, like who wrote the text, right? From whose devotional heart has that come? That's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I really appreciate that angle, Suhasini Didi. Yes, we're so indebted to his divine grace. He's set the foundation for the whole movement of modern Krishna consciousness. So we're so indebted. Okay, well, anyone else have any final thoughts on Daśa-Mūla? Okay, let me how do I turn this off here? It's not going away. Does anyone have any fun? Oh, I don't know how to turn it off. This new version of WhatsApp, it doesn't turn off. It used to work only if your phone was on, but now it just always works. Okay, well, anyone want to share any thoughts? Sue Devi, your screen is on. Anything you want to share?
I can't talk so much because it's super early and I'm in a shared space. But just beautiful. Thank you so much for holding the space. And I really want to, I've written down a note to learn the first verse. So that's one of my goals, that I really learn off by heart the first verse.
If you have, if anyone has the capacity and inclination to learn verses, then I'd say there's definitely one to learn this, and this first summary verse. It's very helpful, like what, like a lot of the times it's like, we don't know what to say. So who are you guys? What do you believe in? Well, like it's all here. This is what we believe. These are our teachings. This is our theology. It's not, sometimes people think all we do is jump and dance in the street and have good food and dance. That's the cream on the cake. That's the best part. But we have some siddhanta, we have some philosophy, conception. So this verse is a good one, even if you can't memorize it, just to be familiar with it, to learn in English, in your language, these 10 principles. So yeah, that's a nice thought. And I'm also going to invite Dana to say something, because I was told that Dana is happy to speak, even though she doesn't turn on her camera. That was what a little bird told me.
Oh, really? I don't have too much to say right now. I unfortunately had to drive during our class today, so that always distracts me, which I don't like, but I'm so grateful to be here so much, and it just really comforts me. I'm going through like a hard time right now, and it just every time like I log in and listen to you speak and hear the shares, it always brings me back like to this grounded space and makes me realize like what like gets me out of my head and out of the like I don't know. My mind is definitely, you know, in the Gita where it's like it could be your friend or your enemy. My mind is still my enemy. And so I've been really trying to work on that. And so I'm just grateful that being here helps me keep getting reminded of that and keep getting like trying to rewire and undo this false ego that's like really stuck. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, like where you're like, okay, I have that. The intellect part of my brain is taking all this in and it's seeing it, and it's just trying to like unhinge that false ego and get rid of, like, for it to just release, let go, you know. So that was a bunch of rambles, but thank you so much for this and for always helping to keep me grounded in the right space and helping me to do this work I need to do. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate your heart share, Dana, and you know we're not always able to, you know, directly engage with everyone in the group, but you're so much of a shower upper. You're always there, you're always present quietly, and we always appreciate that so much. So thank you for your auspicious presence and participation. And I really appreciate what you just said. In Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in one place, he compares Harikatha to a type of acid, which is dissolving all the layers of mundane existence. You know, so like that repeated hearing as you're describing, it's helping to remove those layers of false ego. So even, you know, yeah, I mean, it's so powerful. Shravanam, this is our first, you know, speaking of the 9 practices of devotion, Shravanam, hearing, this is the first. You know, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. So, okay, well, I think we'll finish up for today. And
No, so can I say something, Vishaka?
please.
Yeah, I just also wanted to thank you and for sharing, you know, your thoughts and the, you know, thoughts and inspirations, everything, you know, in all these classes. So I appreciate that so much. You know, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vasni Didi, and the same to you. Really, it really means so much to have your very qualified presence with us. It really raises the quality of our meeting. So really grateful for that.
Thank you.
Jai.
Jai. Jai.
So for next week, we've been discussing a few different books. We've talked about Sharanagati. We've talked about going through some sections of Bhagavatam. And another book, which Jayadev was mentioning the other day, it's another short one. I was thinking we could go through, which I've actually never been through, but it's a helpful book for all of us, is the Ishopanishad. I was actually thinking perhaps to go through that. What do you think about that, Suvasini Didi?
Ah, that's good. I also was thinking about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which I don't know whether we have the translation.
Sindhu, I would really like to go through, but the problem is I don't know what translation to use.
Okay.
Because Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he gave just the English. I mean, we could go through the English. Actually, what we could do is we could do a side by side. Maybe we should do that. Because the thing is, because I'm just so accustomed with looking at the Sanskrit or Bengali, and just to look at the straight English is hard for me.
Mm.
So because Swami Maharaj only did the English.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, I just
No, the original Sanskrit's not there, but actually we could also have another reference of an edition that from someone else that does include the Sanskrit. So let's think about it this week, and maybe
Okay.
we'll just have a surprise next Wednesday and what we're gonna do. And maybe I'll talk it over with Subhasini and others, and we'll decide. But this meeting will be going on. That's the one thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
Okay, thank you all so much for your association. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Bhakti Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Shri Daśa-Mūla ki Jai.
Jai.
All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Hari Nam ki Jai.
Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Jai.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you all. See you all next time.
Thank you.
Oh, I need to stop this share. Okay.